Hey everybody, how you doing? We are live and we have our special guest here, Nick. What's up, Nick?
Hey, what's happening? I can't believe we're doing this again.
And of course, in our top right corner, the tag team partners themselves, the demolition derbies themselves. Give them a round of applause, everybody. Welcome, guys. How you doing?
Hello,
Hi, everybody.
how are you guys?
But we seem to have a new face in the bottom right corner. Who is that? Who is that man right there? Yeah, that one right there. Who are you, sir?
Well, my name is Edward Dottin, and I'm here to have a good time with you, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be fantastic.
Your
Ladies and gentlemen,
favorite.
please give Edward a big round of applause for being here with us today on an Easter Sunday.
Woo!
All right, my friend. Listen, if people don't know who you are, he is one half of this amazing group. I remember the first time I heard these guys sing, I said to him right off the bat, "Yo, if you need a fifth guy to jump in to do some dance moves, I'm your guy." Tell everybody what your band is called, what your club is called.
Well, we're Blue Soul. We're Canada's #1 entertainment group. We just won Entertainers of the Year, and then COVID came and punched everybody in the face. Um, it's been a heck of a ride, you know. A lot of people that we started with are now coming to ask us questions, which is in a way kind of hilarious. You know, I wouldn't have been able to get this far without the help of all y'all, from Nick to you to Jimmy. Like you guys have been instrumental in everything that we do. So I want to give props to y'all as well.
All right. Well, I'm going to let the ladies start the questions first. Ladies first, because we're going to bombard you with a whole bunch of
Oh
questions
yeah.
on how do we get started? What's it going like for you in the wedding industry? Everything we need to know. We are picking your brain today. Stretch it out, my friend. Stretch it out.
Well, exactly that. Well, thank you so much, Edward, for joining us on today's show. Basically, it is that. You told us a little bit about what you do. How are you doing these days right now? I know that COVID is kind of, like you said, punching everybody in the face. But what are you doing right now?
Well, now it's time to pivot. I mean, I'm super bored, and being bored, you know, allows you to do a lot of fun things. Started fishing, which I never thought I would ever want to do. Um, I'm also an officiant, so you know, while we had the opportunity, we're still doing pop-up weddings and stuff like that. But this is the time to start reading and start educating yourself on things that you never would have had the time to do otherwise, and that's really what I've been doing. Been
Well,
getting
here's
started
the
on
first question
some
for
live streaming.
no. Here's the question that I want to know, and everybody's asking the same thing. You said you started fishing. Question is, did you catch anything?
Yeah. Oh, I've been catching. Ooh wee. I got skills to pay the bills, baby. So now I'm catching, I'm cleaning, and cooking. Y'all keep playing with me. I'm on a cooking show by the end of the month.
Well,
You
let's
have
let's get to, let's backtrack a little bit. How did Blue Soul get started? You know, we know you got the awards and everything, but who started the band? How did you get together? Who said, like, Nick, you're bass, and Jimmy, you're alto. Let's become together and become a band. Like, how did that work out?
I would never be an altar, just so you know.
It's actually pretty hilarious. All the guys in the band, you know, I grew up with, and they're, you know, 4 or 5 years older than me and more. So we all grew up in church, and everybody knows when you're at a certain age, if you're about 13, 14, 5 years is like dog years. You know, those guys get to do all kinds of stuff. They get to go out, they get to hit the clubs, they get to go overseas without parental permission. And I couldn't go. I had to always have to come up with an excuse. So my excuse, I was a videographer for the choirs that they were in. So I was always hanging out with them. But what I was doing was just on the job training. I knew all their songs, all their parts. And then when I was old enough and I had the opportunity, I was like, you know what, guys? I got this new idea. Mind you, the idea was in my head for like 10 years before they heard about it. So it was an easy transition to get them to join the group.
So what was your first thing? Because I know Nick introduced me to you. How did this group all come together?
What was the first show?
Yeah.
The first show was this club on St. Clair called Zemra Lounge. I don't even know if it's still there, but I think we made like $47, and it took $200 to have the show, and we got stuck in the whole, oh, don't worry, guys, you'll get the door. We're like, oh, great. People that had the club weren't charging admission, so they sold all the drinks. And that was my first major club experience. And I was like, okay, before I got to put hands on somebody, I'm never doing this again. And that was my introduction and exit to the club scene real quick.
So I'm gonna ask if that was the club era, how did you get into like events and weddings then? If it's just strictly, clubs.
Well, I knew for sure I didn't want to have to fight people for my money. And anybody that's worked in the club industry knows how it goes. You might get your money. You're going to have to perform, but you might get paid. And I see Jimmy already nodding his head. That's just the way it goes. And they always have the money, which is so interesting. They always have it, but there always has to be a threat of bodily harm before you get paid. So before I ended up doing something that I'm capable of doing, I said, you know what? It's safer if I do weddings because at least I know the money's on site and people are more willing to just give up the dough. So that's why.
The bride ain't going anywhere.
She's not going anywhere. And if anything, just hold her hostage. Everyone's going to want to see that.
So just so everybody knows, we actually don't hold brides hostage.
We don't have to. We don't have to because now we're more sophisticated. We got contracts. We got initial payments, deposits. These are words I didn't know when I started Blue Soul.
So here's a question for you, Edward. So when you said you kind of just did it, right? So you've been in music. You've been doing this for in your mind you already had the thought, right? What was that pivot point where you said, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And I'm just gonna go for it, and whether I fail or whether I not, what was that turning point for you to say I'm just gonna do it?
It was two people. One was George Wallace, a comedian. The other one was Sinbad. And Sinbad is like a big brother, and he's super annoying, but I love him. And he's always like, "What are you doing? And what's next?" He's a lot like Nick. Nick is always the first one to say, "Oh, you're doing that? What's next?" The transition was easy when you have people ahead of you telling you you have no choice. Go do it. You're like, all right. I've been everybody's little brother for as long as I can remember, so it's easy to listen, because nobody wants to get beat up by their big brother. Oh, man.
So tell me the setup. What makes you so special? What makes Blue Soul so special at weddings? Like, what do you bring to the wedding that just makes it over the top?
Well, I guess I'm allowed to say this stuff now. We're just better, like,
flat out.
Hey.
Well, and I have a question for you, and I'm going to pick on you because you are the first entertainer we have on the show.
Okay.
So
I like getting
we don't account for anything. Charles, we don't account for nothing.
I see the disclaimer going up right now.
They're next to each other, so you will see one of these.
Here's the thing. For us, it's a little bit more biased. So I'm going to put myself in a bride show. There's, people are going to be watching this. So, I want to hear from an entertainer's, a musician's kind of opinion, because I'm a bit more of a bias because before.
Here's the question. DJ versus band.
That's
simple
right.
as that.
That's right. That's right, because he's been before I've known him. That's who he was before I knew him. That's Charles. Same thing. He's into the music. But
You just beat the bush too much. Edward, DJ versus band.
What?
Who wins?
That's right. So if I was a bride, considering a musician or a DJ, like give me your 2 cents here.
Hey, wait. We can get into a scrap later, right?
5 minutes.
There's 2 ways to answer this.
Okay.
Regular musicians are just gonna go and say, well, obviously musicians, but it's not true. Because if you really look at it, DJs and musicians are both musicians. The ideas were supposed to work together. And that's what makes blues so awesome.
Not political, the truth. Come on.
This is the
Let's
truth.
go with the truth.
This is the truth. A good DJ and good musicians will work in tandem and make, because it's not our show. At a wedding, it's not us. We're not the stars.
Right.
You got to squash ego and say, you know what? We're here to perform. We're here to tear this place down together. From the florist to the people making the cake to the mean lady that's hiding all the good drinks. Everybody has to work together to make this bride and groom smile. But what happens is, and I'm sure you all know this, everybody wants to be top dog at somebody else's event. And that's where things start to break down. So there is no star at a wedding except for the bride and groom.
Yeah.
So when you walk in there, you leave your ego at the door.
Hey, listen, Ed, I love that you said that, because for me as an MC, I rely on the DJ. The DJ makes me sound good. He can tweak my mic. He can make me sound louder, higher. He can mute me. He can push the mute button at any time.
No. I want to get back to what Brizia was saying. And Brizia had a raising point. If I had to have a live band with you performing or a DJ performing, what makes the difference? What makes it showmanship? What makes it outstanding?
Well,
hold on.
Glad you asked, you instigator. We always walk with the DJ because
exactly
when we are not playing. Yes, Blue Soul can play for 6 hours straight, but you want to break it up.
Yep.
And the reason you want to break it up is because sometimes the MC has to talk. Sometimes the antipasto bar is happening, and you don't need 5 guys on stage with 25-piece band tearing it down while I'm trying to get some prosciutto. It doesn't happen like that. So, I don't want to hear it. You know, it was a good try, Nick.
Okay, but wait. I want to get into this because I feel, and I say I feel, is that, you know, as much as we're going through this pandemic, it is what it is. But I have a feeling as we start settling from the pandemic, we're going to get into this where people want to make it like a live Las Vegas backyard show.
Oh yeah.
How are they going to do that with you? How can I get that feeling? Is it just me just sending a DJ, or me coming there with a small piece band? Honestly,
you got to come out there with all guns blazing and what people can afford. Because look, historically, people are going to say we've never seen anything like this before. But the truth is, we have seen it before. And in the 1920s, we have the Roaring 20s. Who says it can't happen again? Who says it won't happen again? I got my money on it happening again. So people are going to find the money. I think rates for banquet halls are going to have to start being adjusted. If not, people are going to start finding unique venues, backyards, Airbnbs with huge acreage. Because at this point, people want to there's thousands of people trying to get, imagine, we do thousands of weddings when things are good. Okay? All those people weren't able to have their wedding. We have a year and a half backup. And it's going to be backed up like a toilet. At some point, there's going to be overflow. I just hope there's enough bands and enough good DJs to catch everything that's going to happen.
So on that note, I want to ask you, if somebody was to get a clear understanding of, understanding Blue Souls, and again, as we all on the screen have heard you perform, who've never heard you perform, where would they find this out? Like, how would I know how Blue Soul sounds? What is it, just strictly on your website, or do you have other forms?
Website, Instagram, they can call me, because that's one of the things that we try to stand by is when we were in church years and years ago, people would always say, "Oh, you guys are singers, huh? Sing something." And you'd have to sing on the spot. Nowadays, people don't do that because they can't do that. They got to drink sweet tea They gotta drink lemongrass, wheatgrass, stretch, warm up. By then, a client doesn't care anymore.
Right.
You know, so we personalize things. Now, we're not just walking around as like, you know, singing puppets. It's not the way it works. But sometimes we'll show up at the airport and sing for somebody's soon-to-be fiance and just start singing and make everybody cry because we do that kind of stuff. Look how serious Nick is right now.
Yeah.
I think maybe Nick, it might be frozen.
That's like the best way to say frozen. You can literally play poker face with him right now. He would win.
Listen, on that note, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to be right back. And we're going to find Nick and find out where he went. And we'll be right back.
All right.
CMJ Entertainment is a one-stop shop. CMJ Entertainment helps people do any type of events, and it's a marketing tool as well. So we'll cover everything from start to finish, and in the same time, do some marketing to help you sell your product. If it's a wedding, we'll make sure your wedding is over the top, and if it's an event, we make sure that everybody gets information at the end of the day. Give us a call at 416-414-8964 or online, go to cmjent.com.
Yes, we are back live. We don't know where Nick went, so we're trying to find out where Nick went right here. But we're live with Ed from Blue Soul. Edward, here's the thing, though. You're on Wedding Insight, so we need to know, what's the insight? We need to know the tips and tricks. So here's the first question. When someone is booking a band, what should they do and what should they look for? Give us some tips on how to book a proper band.
Easy. First thing you gotta do is scout it. And if a band doesn't allow you to scout them, run like hell. Because, and also, people try to get on me for not doing a ton of produced videos and give them to clients, because that's not what you're gonna get at your wedding. Uh-oh, he's back. He's just an avatar. So I've sat with couples that are like, oh, but I love this band. I'm like, all right, go with them. And then I get a phone call after their wedding saying, why didn't you tell me not to book them? I'm like, well, you wanted them, so I'm not going to force you. Because at the end of the day, I would be someplace else anyway. You know, so the best trick is scout. So what we do is we have a liaison that allows a couple to come along, sometimes two couples, and he or she sits with them, answers any questions while the show's going on. So you get a live experience as opposed to a produced experience of what's really going on.
So they actually get to see you at an event or not a venue performing, catch the feel, catch the vibe, and go from there.
You got it. And it's in a controlled environment for them where, yeah, you're at somebody's wedding, but you're dressed up. You're kind of infiltrating, but you're there with a professional, and the couple that's there knows that they're coming in. There's pure transparency with everybody.
Okay.
Here's another question for you for tips and tricks, right? When you have a bride, you know, because we get this all the time too. They're like, oh, we're thinking about booking a DJ, we're thinking about booking a band. What would your tip for a bride that is in between be? You know, obviously, when you, like you said, when you deal with professionals, you know, we all tend to kind of jive together because we all have a common goal, which is to make that bride and groom's day like a complete success, and we all have that common goal. What would you say to a bride when they're saying, I want to book you, but I also want you to work with our DJ, but then you have somebody that's not being as, you know, as professional? What would your thought pattern at that point be for the bride and groom to kind of get over that?
So you're asking me what happens when you have a crappy DJ?
Yes, that's basically what he.
Okay,
That's basically what he was trying to say in the long. Yes, yes.
So
Cooperative.
You can still work with a crappy DJ. It's easy. You know, with a crappy DJ, and I'm sure you know this too, Jimmy. You know all the bad DJs.
Yeah.
Like we all do. You know, and we all know the bad sound companies. We all know the bad florists because we've been here long enough to know what's working and what's not working. So you know what to expect going in. You don't snitch on anybody.
Snitches get stitches.
Snitches get stitches and wind up in ditches. So it's okay to tell the bride and groom, look, we're coming in here independent. So we may have to bring our own speakers. We may have to bring our own microphones. We may have to bring our own mixer because we know, you know, DJ so-and-so is coming with an old mixer that has knobs missing. 3 channels aren't going to work. He's using Line 6 mics from the first generation, like the V55s or V35s that, you know, don't connect to anything. If a cell phone rings, it drops out. So
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2.
Right. You know what these are. So you have to protect yourself because ultimately, when you get on stage, nobody cares about the sound guy. They're looking at you.
Yeah.
So it's a game of protecting your own butt.
Well, the thing is, we as wedding pros know this, but brides and grooms, people that are getting married, they don't. So you are telling us, you know, the tips and tricks, but what would be something like because obviously it's the do's and the do nots. What would you recommend for something to a bride or a groom, like what not to do in the booking process of a musician?
Well, when it comes to booking musicians, you gotta understand musicians are artists. And most artists come with a mindset that's a little more free-spirited. The only reason I can say that is because I see it. I don't always subscribe to it, which is kind of what upsets me with artists. But an artist will show up late and leave early. An artist needs to be motivated in a lot of cases when the motivation's already there. Like, this is somebody's personal history. You owe it to them to be early.
So then,
you know,
so then that goes
owing it to yourself. You owe it to them.
So then that goes into a question that I think Brizia and Jimmy are trying to ask is, when a bride asks you your opinion on flow, and they always ask you or they always ask the DJ, because as an MC, they come and ask me last, and they go, what do you think? Should we put the DJ first or the band first? Who should start? Should the band go after the DJ? How much time should the band get over the DJ? It goes back and forth. So as a DJ and as a performer, what do you both? And this question is for Jimmy as well. What do you both tell them when they're asking you who should go first, who should play longer? What do you guys say to each other?
Well, that comes out with budget. If I'm only there for an hour, I can tell you what the best hour to be there is, right? And you can usually get a feel for that based on the interactions you have with the couple. If the couple's a more mellow, quiet kind of couple, you want to be on stage earlier in the evening and set up for the DJ. If this couple's about to go flat Miami, they're going out. You surprise them at 10 o'clock, go to 11, and keep the energy high, and then a DJ comes in and has to maintain that level until 2 a.m. It's a must. Otherwise, you're playing to a dead room. And sometimes, we'll say less professional DJs that don't understand that concept, they lose an entire crowd. And if you're super ego-driven as a DJ, Blue Soul will mess up your whole night. I remember this one time we did a wedding, 600 people, and we had 2 1-hour sets to do. And we did the first set, and the first set was a little slower. We changed outfits, came back out to do the second set, and we're killing the second set. Everybody's on the dance floor. The DJ comes up to us and says, "Yo, I need to get in." Okay, papi, it's your show. Go ahead. I said, "Dog, 1 hour's coming up anyway. I like, make sure you're ready." He's like, "Oh, I've been ready." And as soon as we got off stage, remember, 600 people, dance floor's full. This dude plays time.
What did he say? He plays what?
It wasn't that bad that the internet cut him out.
Yeah, you froze, B. What did he play?
That was the
Tiny.
blooper of what we did.
He played Tiny Bubbles.
Tiny
And everyone
Bubbles.
went from like,
It was the parting of the Red Sea at that point.
yeah.
Because I know those type of DJs. They have their set already set in their mind. They know what they're building up with. They didn't look at the crowd and go, "Oh, he's already at my set number 16. I should keep going from 16 on." He went back to his first set at number 1.
Well, you gotta remember, this is where the bad DJ versus good DJ comes in. Jimmy's not going to run out of music. Bad DJ only has a crate so big.
So that's why he started at 1.
All of that.
All of it. Right. Right.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. And it goes and
it's your fault.
And to Jimmy, on Jimmy's side, it goes both ways. I've been at parties. Jimmy's rocking the party. The DJ's slamming it. And then they say, "All right, now we have our entertainer." And the entertainer doesn't look at the crowd, how the crowd is bumped already, and go play some slow song.
Yep.
So the DJ had them up here, and they go sing a slow ballad or do a slow waltz. Meanwhile, they have like other things they could have done, but they didn't look at the area, the value of what the DJ did first, because the DJ pumped them up, getting them ready for the performer, and it didn't move. Like, Jimmy, talk about that.
Yeah, so I've actually had very similar experiences, you know, as Edward said, you know, where we've talked to brides and they've asked us, you know, do you want us to go first? Like, do you want the DJ to go first? Do you want the band to go first? And again, exactly what Edward said. It's kind of, what do you want? What do you want your party to look like? Because if you have a band like Blue Souls, the Blue Souls bring that energy, and they can switch into being that, you know, kind of cocktail-y type of music. But then if you got to bring the party on, they'll bring the party to you, and then you got to watch out, right? Yeah. So I always ask the brides and grooms, what band are you using? And, you know, as Ed said, you know, we all know each other in the industry, so we know what our strengths and our weaknesses are theoretically. So I will turn around and say something like, okay, well, you have somebody like Blue Souls. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna let them maybe do the first set, they can go set, and then we'll play in between, and then we can build up for them, because now, you know, the way I look at it is this way. I have a mad respect for all artists, for all bands. I give you guys mad respect, because I can't even play the flute, nor can I play a keyboard. So that's why I became a DJ, because I could never play anything. Like, I used to play the trumpet when I was in like high school, and my teacher would like throw stuff at me because you got the wrong note. So for me, it's always been a lot of respect for bands, and I DJ on a Friday night with live bands every single Friday, you know, so I know about bands. But I've also gotten the back respect from bands too, saying, you know what, you're an artist too. Just exactly how Ed said, you know, that some bands recognize DJs as artists. So for me, it's always like, okay, you're gonna have somebody like Blue Soul, we're gonna pump it up. So Blue Soul comes in, and they're gonna rock the party till, you know, from 12 to 1, and then we'll kind of do the staggering after the fact, right? But yes, you're absolutely right. It has to be a conjoint, you know, with the band and the DJ. So what we usually tend to do is, I'll go and ask the band for the band set. Be like, hey, what are you guys playing? Because I don't want to play the same songs that, you know, the band has played, right? And that's very key, because if a DJ, for example, let's say, you know, we're playing some like Sexy Back, you know, a popular song that a lot of bands tend to play, is if I played it in my set and then you got to hear it again from the band, it doesn't really showcase skill. It doesn't really showcase anything, right? So it's about tailoring that experience for the client. So
yeah, and I want to add something to that because we talk about amateur entertainers, bad DJs, you know, working collaboration with musicians, but mad respect to you as well because you mentioned that you come prepared with your equipment. I put sometimes in the situation where the bride doesn't really know what their musician is bringing or what their DJ is bringing, and there has to be a lot of chasing around and kind of make sure, okay, is your musician really bringing in the equipment? And when you have to be, when you say equipment, you have to have a roster of what the actual equipment is actually being brought, because a lot of couples think that because they hire a musician that they're going to come with even their own microphone, and a lot of musicians don't, unfortunately.
Yep.
Or the misunderstanding that they need to plug into the DJ sound system, and a lot of that information is not with it's it's not kept.
Yeah.
So it's kudos to you. It really does set the difference between an amateur and a professional.
Hey, Jimmy.
You guys are
Yep.
so nice.
As a MC, I love watching performers walk up to the DJ and hand them their cell phone. Love it.
You play this?
Absolutely love it. And then they hand them yeah. Oh, do you have this cord?
Yeah.
Do you have this cord right here? What do you have? This is an iPhone. So anybody have an iPhone charger? iPhone. Anybody have an iPhone charger? Then
this is what I say. You're an iPhone. I'm a droid. So
yeah, but here's the best thing. Here's the best thing. The performer is about to go on. I introduce the performer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, give them the big announcement. And then what happens? The DJ goes, your phone's locked. What's your passcode? What's your passcode? It's locked. I can't. It's locked. What's your code?
Dude, you know what the best thing is?
Give me your face.
No,
give me your face.
You know what the best thing is? This has happened. This is, again, we're talking about the do's and don'ts, and this has happened. The guy singing or performing, and then they get a phone call in the middle of
boom.
You guys are so mean.
Yeah. No. Hold on.
You know what?
So after
what I ended up doing at that party, this is what I did. Hello, yeah, he's actually performing right now. Can he call you back?
I am telling you now, you put fear in every person who wants to be an entrepreneur to get into this industry.
Good.
And I'm looking at Blue Souls, I'm looking at Jimmy, and I'm looking at Charles and say to you guys, this is not encouragement.
Good.
No, but hey, listen.
I think
here's what it is. It's about teaching people about professionalism.
Yes.
Right? You need to be professional at what you do. Blue Souls, Charles, myself, and yourself, we take pride in what we do. And we do it for the end goal is the client. Right? And again, this is not to boast our businesses, is to educate the client and say, look, when you find companies that have that ultimate goal,
right?
You know your event is going to be a complete success. Right?
Yeah.
So again, it is a wedding insight. We are giving you an insight to what a wedding looks like.
Then I'm going to look and say to Edward right now, what should brides and groom be aware of? You know, we just heard about checklists and stuff. Do you prepare that? What should brides and groom be asking their entertainers, or should be educating or providing information to you to give to their DJ or band that they will have that day? That's the challenge I'm going to ask you right now.
Well, that's why I said you got to scout. I think the best information is to go check it out for yourself. Jimmy's not going to stop anybody from coming to check him out. Jimmy make a mix that day.
Right, but is there a checklist? Do you put a checklist on your website? Is that something is that something we should be all doing our professional ways, saying, here's the things that, you know what, be prepared for, the troubles and the troubles not to have.
But Nick, this is why people need to sign up to a wedding insight, because this is where they're gonna learn all this.
Oh, there's a good one. Okay, so then they got to sign up. So there's a list. So we should ask Edward after this, if he doesn't mind, what are the particulars that we should know, and have it posted. And I think we're going to put it on our next feed on Instagram and saying, this was what Edward said you should be cautious and be aware of.
Just
so
understand that it's not going to be anything nice. Like,
Well, listen, we
have
want to know
get
what brides should prevent themselves from doing and having, right?
right. So that's gonna come from me saying what is the truth. And you guys all know me. I'm not great with the filter. Sometimes gets a little clogged.
Hey, listen, we all grow and we all learn, and like I said, I just want to encourage young generations to get into the industry.
No. Hold on. Listen. Listen.
I'm coming from a different world, and that world doesn't allow foolish. Like you can't. Okay.
Enough is enough. Listen, to me, enough is enough now. Stop babysitting these artists, babysitting these performers, and babysitting. If you are going to come in the industry and say, I'm a performer, you should have done your research and done everything to act like a performer. Don't just come and say, oh, I'm a singer, and come without your tracks.
Bang.
Okay, watch this one. This is a perfect example. I'm not doing it. They gave the DJ the track, and they didn't check the track for the vulgar. It had swearing in it. But they didn't take the right version. So during the song, he's singing and mother boop, and I'm like, oh. So who is that? Is that Jimmy's fault for not listening to the track? Exactly.
Edwards.
You want my answer to that? Look, you guys gotta remember. Well, you guys know, but those that are watching, remember, I come from comedy, so I live for this kind of stuff. Comedy and tragedy are cousins, and when that stuff happens, I'm on the floor dying. This is by no means Jimmy's fault. I hope that stuff happens, because if you cared enough, you would have checked your track at least on the way there. Right?
On the radio.
Yeah, but Jimmy, let's be honest. When that happens, who do they look at? The artist or the DJ?
Look at the DJ.
They look at the DJ.
Yeah.
See?
But that is 100% the artist's fault.
Oh, there you go.
Thanks for that, but it's true. It goes back to the same thing, going back to the aspect of the equipment, right? If a band is coming in to play, like for example, when we have brides and grooms and they say we have a band, we're always going to say, okay, is your band bringing in their own equipment? Because if you're expecting them to actually plug into our DJ equipment, it's a DJ setup. It's not tailored for bands. Right. So, it's about educating and that's kind of why we're all here. And, that's why, Edward, thank you very much for being here and giving that inner perspective to everybody else that's on this, because, it could just sound like me, Nick, and Charles and my wife here, just, just talking and they're like, oh, these guys don't know what they're talking about. We have somebody else that's, that has and lives this as well. So we're giving that.
And then I'm getting all my pet peeves out right now, man, because I'm just getting it out. Another thing, you know why? I think because
that's me, man.
Because here's the thing, as an MC, everybody looks at me as well, right? And then everybody looks at the DJ. Because this is what I hate. You're a performer, okay? Mm-hmm. The wedding's at 5. Don't come in at 5:30, 5:45, and then go talk to the DJ while the DJ is busy doing other stuff. Talk about, hi, I'm performing. Can I get a sound check? How do you want to do a sound check when the wedding started already? Or he's performing and he's like, let's check sound track number 2. Test 1 2 test. Yeah, level up. Give me some levels. All right, yeah.
Give me some trouble.
I'm sorry.
The crazy thing with that is that most performers will say, don't worry, the DJ has a mixer. And Jimmy, I know you've heard this before. If Jimmy's playing with you, Charles, he does not need a performance mixer. He has his DJ mixer, and he has a mic for him and a mic for you.
I'm good.
Everybody's good. And then here comes Fiddle and Elvis, and he wants his violin hooked up and everything else. You're like, I didn't even know you were gonna be here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
Hey.
you know, because you're trying to be a professional, you try to hook him up the best way you can.
Yes.
He plays something either super loud or super soft, and the first thing they do is as if it's your fault. And it's a save that a lot of amateur performers use, but I'm the first one to call BS because I'm like, come on, man. You know,
listen.
good and hell well you had to go to Lama Quaid and get you something. This guy's sipping espresso.
Well, listen, Blue. We can talk.
I'm starting to play Little Bubbles.
Listen, we can talk all day. But before we let you go, my friend, because this has been a great conversation. One more time, tell everybody where they can catch you. I'm gonna put up it on the website, all of our websites that you can catch us all. Bluesoul.ca. Make sure you check him out.
You got the hitchdoctor.ca for when you want to get married. The Real Blue Soul on Instagram, because there's a lot of fake ones out there, which is hilarious to me. The Hitch Doctor again on Instagram. And what else we got, Nick? I think that's everything. And
All right,
everything
man.
we wear comes from Nick, so
We're gonna let you know that we're definitely gonna look forward to having you back and hear some more tips and tricks. And again, I'm apologizing to everybody because I did get cut off there a few minutes there back, so I do apologize for the inconvenience I've given.
Don't worry, Nick. We're gonna show you your frozen face after the show is done. Don't worry, we'll show it to you.
Did you take a picture?
Yeah.
You took a picture of it?
Hey,
We'll get.
is there vodka in there?
I think we're gonna have to have an after hours wedding insight.
There you go.
All
right, everybody.
I think that's the tip and trick. So listen, we got to bring it to a close. Want to thank everybody.
If you guys want to get part, like we should. You know what, Nick? That's a good idea. If you guys want to be part of the after hours wedding insight, where we can just talk, you know,
we get to cuss.
You know, we can do it all.
Live mix and alcohol. Bring it to your own house.
Yeah, of course.
I say we try it. That's a new tip. And if anybody has any suggestion or ideas or anything else, please send us out an email or hit us in the comments.
All right, everybody. We'll see you. Listen, have a great Easter. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
Peace out, y'all.